Listen, chat, I know you guys wanted that game to start so much faster, and so did we, but at least it was worth the wait. An incredible first map in this series, going all the way to overtime, setting the pace, and definitely setting the bar very high. This is NA Masters 1. My name is Bach. I'm your host. Joining me on the desk, I've got Vansili, Potter, and Veli. Potter, we talked about Nitro coming into this series. Whether or not this weird juggle up of roles that's happened since Ethan joined the roster would affect his performance. Clearly, that's not the case, as he top performs here as Sage, no less.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you can see the inner workings of what his brain is telling him to do, right? Because not only did he top frag, but the value he brought with just the agent in itself in Sage, the executes. Anytime these guys were going into the site, they had no fear. They knew exactly what line of sights they had to focus on because they knew the slow orbs were there to back them up each and every step of the way. We got to talk about the rays as well, man. The utility, chemicals. The dude's paint shells were landing every single time. It was impressive to see. And Asuna, I also have a note here in round 15. He's the real homie. He helped out Ethan hold down the fort, hold down the A site with just a single satchel that he dropped down right in front of Ethan's feet. So, man, both squads bringing their A game, bringing everything. And it was an absolute treat to watch.
Speaking of the agent compositions as well, we talked about it coming into this series, how things might change. They lost Dicey being one of their duelists, replacing him with Ethan, who comes in playing Omen frequently. But Veli, that one duelist setup seemed to work out pretty well for
What?
him.
Of course, no, it didn't work well. It worked really great for him. Okay, I don't even know if that's proper English. So you got to think about it. You look at the lineup and you say, okay, if you want to toss in another duelist, to say if someone else was in the game that could frag out, who are you going to take out? Is it going to be Sage? No, it's not going to be Killjoy, because those two were so amazing. I love their setups at B, and it allowed 100 Thieves to manipulate Immortals in the nastiest way ever. I remember there was a round where there's a Sage wall up and an Ice Orb thrown, and Sean was calling it out that there was so much utility placed, and Hiko, you know, he was hovering in the back area in the spawn watching mid. They knew exactly why they were going to rotate over to B, over to A, and try to make that push happen. There was no pitch happening from the mid, so B was sitting pretty. I'm sorry, I'm getting the sites confused. They stayed 3 on that site, and they did that multiple times. I love the retakes and also those Sage walls. I think it was Gangsta that was trapped around tree when they went around heaven and got on the site. It was filthy. Having 2 duelists isn't a necessary way to play the game, and 100 Thieves are opening up everyone's minds to, you know, think about it differently. I love it.
Vansili, looking at the difference in agent compositions and what Immortals brought to the table compared to what 100 Thieves brought to the table, how does that kind of change up the way these teams approach the defensive side of the map?
You definitely saw 2 different types of playstyle on defense, actually. To just theorycraft a bit, the way that Immortals played it, I liked it, because you had 3 players playing towards the A main, namely Chemicals, Gangsta, and GC Stani. They leave Catwalk open, they leave middle open, and they have Reyna playing on B side with the Killjoy so that they could slow down any type of pushes coming in from the B side. And then if there's a push from 100 Thieves towards mid or towards Catwalk, well, since they have the aim in pressure, they could fight back and pinch back on the rotations. For 100 Thieves, they had some great Frost Orbs from Nitro on that B side that slows down that aggressive playstyle that Immortals has, on these attempts of pushes into the site. But the thing is, in the end, none of it really worked, because for Immortals, they were able to take control of middle, as Veli was mentioned before, and for 100 Thieves, you still had people that were satchel charging into the site, such as Chemicals, to just weaken that defense. So it came down to some heroic plays. Steel stepped it up on 2 rounds, 3 rounds towards the end to bring this into like a least map point for the team. But overall, it comes down to those trades and just the firepower of both of these teams. This was a great start to a series to end the night.
I think another key to that victory as well, we have to give credit to Killjoy's placements on 100 Thieves. The fact that the alarm bot was consistently in garage, yet the turret sometimes in mid, they didn't even have to face check, so they weren't even losing lives like that. And also, it has to be called out, Nitro was filthy. We're talking about like 2 reses available in 5 rounds. He had no reason being like fight 15-9 earlier on in the game. It was insane.
But at the same point in time, you look at Nitro's performance, and sure, he was top of the scoreboard, but you mentioned that Killjoy play. Steel kind of saving the team's bacon a little bit there towards the end with that shotgun play on the A site. he put his team in the pole position eventually by just helping them close out that game, or at least take it into overtime and make that all possible. So even though the stats might not necessarily illustrate a strong performance from players underneath Nitro, everyone stepped up when it was necessary. And actually just looking at the stats, when you saw the side-by-side breakdown of both the team as a whole and then everyone's individual stats, they came so close to matching each other, and in some cases they did. So that illustrates just how things went. We'll take a look at the maps as well. So we will be moving into a different map here for map 2. Kind of hoping we get the same treatment as we did on map 1. Obviously, Ascent was quite a treat, but do we think that Immortals is going to deliver the same way they just did on Ascent here on Haven, with a map that we haven't really seen them play too much, Potter?
Surely, right? Because even when we think back on Ascent, as soon as that pistol round came around and you saw the aggression coming out from Immortals, I thought, okay, this is the great start that they absolutely needed. You can see the confidence building up round by round, and you saw how Reyna was in the middle, just no fear, right? So I think we can expect that. At least they should lean into that hard, because the stylistic clash, they need to be able to do that with the double duelists that Immortals are running. So this is their own map pick, going to home turf. Hopefully we see Immortals coming out swinging just like they did on Ascent.
Yeah, I think we saw some promise definitely with Shot Up playing as Reyna on Ascent, which is
probably
also
going to be breached though, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. There's a possibility that it's breached, but there's also a possibility that they're going to use Reyna, because the last time they played it in the VCT, the only time that they played it, Shot Up played that Reyna too. So if he's able to crack up like the way he did on Ascent, then I think this is going to be a nice surprise for 100 Thieves on Haven as well.
Haven is certainly going to be interesting, but we're just about ready to jump into the action. We've got DDK and Sean Gare standing by to take us into it. It's all yours.
Oh, thank you very much, Bok. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That first map was just, I feel like it's one of the best games we've casted, Sean. It's just so intense.
That was a treat. That was definitely a treat. Like, the game, we have a lot to live up to after that map, right? That was map 1. If Immortals loses this map, I'm gonna be really sad, Dan. I want a third map. Like, we need to make this a great series. I don't want a great map. I want a great series.
Totally agree. And it's just this is such a different map too. Like Ascent, you can definitely get away with a very different style, more standard style, tactically and strategically. Do you think that this is going to be a map where we see a different version of Immortals?
I think Haven is, like you said, it's a super unique map. Whoa, Shot Up locked in breach very fast right there.
Nice.
I am surprised. Now, I will say this. I think Reyna's flashes aren't well suited on a map like Haven, which is very, close. It's close range for most of your battles by A and B, Garage. So the near sight isn't as effective as Breach's flashes, which is why you see him, switching to him on this map. But man, I don't know. I don't know. It's typically so nice to be able to have duelist on Haven, because there's so many rotations happening with three sites, right? It's so much different than what we're used to in CS. Having a third site, instead of having, a 2-1-2 setup by the defenders, you're like pushing and pulling people around constantly, and you really never know what setup they're running.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. I'm like, the whole breach thing is just, we're going to see breaches on both sides too. I just love this, because it definitely isn't a usual look that we've been seeing from a lot of teams. A lot of teams in North America have been running the breach, and I have to say, there's so many cool setups that we see from 100 Thieves on this map in general, just across the map with Cypher, like Steel and Nitro, for example. I just remember, so many cool little two-man plays. There's that famous sort of clutch, that clip around Garage. Exactly. That was just so sublime. And also just seeing the way that Steel, we've all seen the highlights around the A side as well. He knows so well how to delay and how to create problems for a team that is quite oriented with, pulling rotation out of A and then hitting A. It doesn't seem like there's any great problems for 100 Thieves when they're dealing with a map like this.
And this is going to be I think this might be a really quick C split coming in, with a triple C push coming out of the defenders.
Okay, there's that breach flash. paranoia to be thrown back. The fault line coming in as well. It is just, I don't know when I last saw this much action around this position at this point in the map. My goodness, 100 Thieves trying to hold on to this, but everybody's switching with the breach, flash off the flash, and it's going to be Immortals picking up the kills. Hika's going to swing, like, just wondering what the hell is going on. It's just a rave at C-Long, and it's going to be very difficult to bring themselves back in, but still with that lurk through A lobby is finding some value and giving a chance here to 100 Thieves.
That was super important that 100 Thieves got that ground back site. Now they forced the 1-on-3 with Hiko. This is a lot for even Hiko to do here, Dan.
I'm done counting Hiko out of any clutch, so but of course he will get taken out.
Wow. The utility battle, though, on C-Long. What just happened? That was insane. The breaches were just having a utility field day, and everyone else was just, you know, trying to figure out what was happening.
I'm just glad that that change was made to the Observer, that when you get flashed, we don't get completely wrecked, because, oh my god. Oh my god, the 2 breaches on the server as well.
Oh my god, everyone's sending it mid. What's going on, Dan? I'm gonna let you take this one again.
Oh god. Well, Chemicals gonna lead the charge. However, the setup's coming through from both sides. The Buckies, the flashes, everything's getting pushed right now. The pain shells get thrown out. It's gonna be so very hard to know exactly who's gonna come out on top here. But Immortals are gaining ground here towards that B site. Bucky from shot up is proving effective. However, this 2-man setup is looking not too bad. It's just down to Nitro, though, with the Classic. And given the fact that they are on the eco in this situation, they're doing a pretty good job of damage. And Nitro, he might be able to pick up a weapon. I'm not sure what's on the ground for him. Never mind. The Shock Dart's going to deal with him. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's happening at the beginning of this game, but I like it. I am into it.
Is there like some kind of agreement made to meet at one place every round? This is epic. Can we have more of this? What, maybe A now? Doesn't look like we're going to have it by A this round, but the Sova and Raze lining up for probably an early recon nade combo. They're going to dominate this A main, breach fault lining through, so A main will be won by 100 Thieves this round.
Cover going out.
The initial dark cover C-Long, we'll probably see that a lot from Immortals as part of that default, denying that information, allowing them orb control, forcing the defenders to invest if they want to pressure C-Long, and it's a garage take coming through. C-Long control as well here for for Immortals. They want something explosive-ish on. They're still on these, like the Bucky, a Spectre, a couple Sheriffs.
Yeah, it feels so much like Ascent. Oh my goodness, that tag is devastating for Steel.
Yep, he's not going to walk away from that one. Ethan's going to get pushed out the site by the Shock Darts. Very nicely done. Immortals taking over the C site. 5 versus 4. Is going to be swapping out for the Vandal there, and we get the pre-shot sent forward. The Rolling Thunder, and still, this is looking very good for Immortals. 4 versus 2 now. 100 Thieves not even able to set up to retake. There's no breathing room here at all. And they may just have to give it up.
ShotUp's utility in this game so far has been incredible. For someone that plays Reyna and only has 2 flashes, what he does when he plays Breach is so different from his normal playstyle. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, and especially given that they were not working with really much in the way of weaponry here. Most of that round was just done by utility. As you pointed out, the drone tag was the difference. That meant that Steel could not hold that position. In fact, he got killed, which meant that the entire team could just rally behind that one kill and get the site under control quickly.
Yeah, typically, you know, your cages, your smokes, the dark covers, all of that is in your favor until you get reconned or droned. And then it's like you're behind a paper-thin wall and you're just dead. You stand no chance. They know where you are. You don't know where they are.
I love the garage pressure here as part of this default. You can see that 100 Thieves is sort of rallying also around garage. 4 players there. They're expecting an explosion through garage. It's not looking like it's going to be coming anytime soon. The flash, though, is a timing found through Garage, which shot up and Gangster annihilate the push, leaving very little left here for 100 Thieves. Well, Steel, he's been spotted, so that's not going to look good for him.
I do like the way minimap looks, though. That 4 X's in one spot. It looks like one giant X right there by the doors. That's impressive.
This is such a different look to a game.
Yes. I couldn't agree more. I like Immortals' approach, actually. They're doing something that I honestly haven't seen many teams at the top try. They're just giving 100 Thieves a main controller round. They don't care. They say, you can have it. Our goals are elsewhere in the map, and when we want to go A, you'll know. We'll know when Immortals is going to go A. It's either going to be really late in a mid game or an explosive hit.
You know, if you're Asuna, you do have a job on your hands because Garage control has been very difficult. Immortals doing a lot in terms of taking control of that position, trying to make an argument for 100 Thieves to invest players to defend Garage. Droning up, see long, making sure that they can keep everything safe. That jump peak really tells you that that's the solo player. The paranoia coming out to slow things down, that's going to cause a rotation too.
They got the paranoia out of Ethan, and they weren't even planning the hit. 100 Thieves looking a little shaky on this C site right now, but they do have 4 players around it.
Feels like 100 Thieves know exactly what's going on here. Just as you said, Sean, that paranoia getting dropped early, that's a huge tell that Immortals feel really good about this push. The Hunter's Fury coming through as well, taking down Hiko. They have so much control of the positioning right now. It's an easy find for the Hunter's Fury, and Asuna trying to find some control here around the perimeter. But of course, the side is given up. The spike is down. It's ticking away. And Asuna, he's got to worry about this flank. He's going to go so fast so that the flank's not an issue. Nitro with the flashes out there to try to find a way to deal with this. There's the late lurk from Chemicals. He's going to get dealt with. It leaves it all to Gangster. Nice snap from Gangster. Fault line comes through. He can't dodge it. Oh, that's devastating. Nitro takes him down. And it's a great retake from 100 Thieves. Both teams, again, playing it really well there, but it's a slight edge for 100 Thieves, ultimately.
Absolutely essential to that. 100 Thieves stops the bleeding right here. You know, gets their first round. Things did look sketchy for a second there, but the reads coming in, the lack of A pressure. Steel had the A site, and Nitro was even cheating towards the C site. He wasn't even playing B. They had no trips in B, and he was playing C link side. So that was a big gamble coming out of 100 Thieves that actually played out to their favor. And it looks like we're gonna have the same approach coming out of Immortals. They like what they saw.
It's so cool too because again, it does feel like such a different game to the kind of standard bread and butter havens that we've been seeing ultimately. And the fact that we get the breach out of 100 Thieves as well to combat what's coming their way is really interesting.
Right there.
100 Thieves need to find a way to turn things around. And it's just so strange to see so little action around a lobby. And it makes you wonder if that might change later on for Immortals. You know, droning through here to check if anyone's pushed up. Obviously, there's not been anyone in these spots for them, so they have to do that. And is there a read there for their opponents?
Nitro is close by, Dan, and he has an ult. There's 2 trips in the site and a cam. This actually could be a very difficult take for them.
Yeah, so much ultimate potential here. There we go. There's the first one. The Rolling Thunder comes through before they can even set up the spike, and that's going to allow Steel to come out from the cage. The trade, though, from Shut Up is good. Oh, no. Nitro, he looked very strong in that engagement, but the flash wasn't enough, and Immortals hold on. The spikes will come through, but it's not over just yet here for 100 Thieves. There's the Hunter's Fury now being popped. Every ultimate pretty much is being spent here. It's just one more. Asuna's rocket. Well, there it is. There's the showstopper. Straight onto the default. The paint shell's coming through as well, trying to barrage the site with all of this explosive utility. And there go all the satchels that drop down low as well as they have isolated one player in the hell position. There's both of them there. They have the info. Can they play back-to-back? Chemicals and Gangster trying to survive. Now just down to Gangster. He's not good, though, for the last one. It's Ethan to take it through. And Oh, 12 HP left on Ethan as well. Every ultimate expended pretty much on the side of 100 Thieves, but not on the side of Immortals.
That was an absolute fire sale right there on ults. It was just, you get an ult, you get an ult. Everyone's just popping ults. No frags coming from them though. It was so weird to see. After a round like that where, you know, Ethan wins a one-on-one, you mentioned it. All of the ults now lie in Immortals' favor, and the economy is in their favor. They could hard reset 100 Thieves right now.
It feels so perfect too, doesn't it? Because it feels like A has been so clear for the taking that they know that, as you say, like the ultimate advantage is going to make it so hard for 100 Thieves to win a retake. So I wonder if they set themselves up for a round where they can walk onto a site like that again.
Same early round setup. So yeah, this is definitely something that Immortals thinks is going to work game plan wise. This is a huge game plan type setup early round. Spotting steal close short gives tons of info.
Asuna holding on to Garage, but now that's a very, very important kill to find. He even upgrades to the Phantom, but the lurk from JC Stanny, he wins this 1v1. That's huge. Oh no, that is a huge issue now for 100 Thieves. Asuna though, able to take him down. The trade is through from Shut Up. Very responsible play there from Immortals to capitalize. 2 versus 3 though, they're not in a great spot. With that said, there goes Steel, but Shut Up as well, able to get taken down by Nitro, leaving just Gangster. And with all of that, there's a lot of space on the map now for Gangster.
There's tons of space, Dan, and if he gets the spike down, he gets his ult. Ooh.
Whoa! We got tagged!
30 seconds left.
Oh, there's an angle there. Just a slither of one, but it won't be found by Gangster in time. And now he's got to win the fight straight up. And was the player either side, he has a sense of it. He can just bait a peek there. If he can win a fight, that could be everything. But he's going to have to commit to the plant. He has no other option. Able to get off of it, trying to find the 1v1s, but they're just not being given. The discipline here from 100 Thieves, the experience in how they're managing, how they're controlling Gangster's fight is just excellent work, but still have to come to completion. Fault line comes out, Gangster's running out of opportunities. The Understreet is not going to come into play. The swing, the final maneuver from the last 2 players of 100 Thieves will be good.
That is how you play a 2-on-1, Dan.
Yes.
That was incredible. Incredible from Hiko and Nitro. Jiggle peeking constantly. You know, getting the info so that way the opposite could always advance. It truly felt like Gangsta stood no chance that round, based on what he saw on his screen. The jiggle peeks 24/7. He would have had to spam someone, you know, like get lucky with a headshot. And if he got a kill at any point in that scenario, he backs off and plays the one-on-one with ult. And the round's his. So that was a huge round by those two.
So much experience there coming into play for sure. And back into the action, and it's a C-long pressure. Ethan's going to creep through this time. He hasn't done this, I don't think. And he's going to take down Nature. The trade's through, but all the info's there. All the info. And Asuna, he's here with the paint shells. The Boombot's going to get sent out. He's going to get tagged up by the Hunter's Fury. Can he escape it? Just barely with the satchels. He's still alive. Has to turn away from the flash. There's absolute madness coming through. Still has the paint shells holding on to the position for as long as he can. But his chemicals finally to take him down. But Nitro answering the call here. The breach flashes. I hope you like getting white because there it comes again. Will get dealt with. But Steel, not too much he's able to do in that position. What a crazy ball run there from Immortals.
They couldn't even get the spike down before everyone was dead. And we talked about it pre-game. I mean, this feels like ages ago now. But JC Stani, the second he passed off in-game leading to Nature and played this lurking Omen, he has had so much success when I watch him. Such a talented young player. His aim is so crisp. Closes out the round for them. And again, the same early round setup. But the difference here, some A-lobby pressure.
We were expecting that eventually we might see it, and finally we're here, round 9. And interestingly though, I am curious how the response will be for 100 Thieves. They have 4 ultimates that are 1 pip away to 100 Thieves. That's pretty interesting. We'll have to see how that helps them. They're looking for some info here towards Garage, trying to see if there are resets coming through and a rotation is coming through from Immortals, but Immortals are just slowing the pace because they're looking for the push, and they punish. Asuna goes down. That's what the kill they were looking for.
Ooh, that's a big find, and the drones coming through short A, but look, 100 Thieves is again all over this, and like you said, they're so close to these ults. One kill from Nitro, Breach ult is coming.
Steel in the smoke with a Bucky. It's a scary prospect. They're going to run back. This is classic Haven stuff right now. You get such a timing advantage on these quick rotations as the attackers. If you can convince the entire defensive unit to go to that A site, so much room. They've managed to effectively get split positions on the C site. Nitro doesn't know exactly where they are. Gets sprayed through the wall. Oh, the breach flashes now to make matters worse. And look at how Immortals are pushing back 100 Thieves with their util. There's nothing that can be done.
Shadow flexing the aim. They're pushing spawn as breach. This is really good to see if you're an Immortals fan. They're playing with so much confidence right now, but also, you know, they're not making mistakes like the old Immortals would do. The old Immortals would have fallen into the A site trap right there. They would have gone into the stack. This version where Nature's IGLing, they have the presence of mind to slow things down, realize that the rotate probably came in. Like you said, they did the Haven Classic. They just all booked it to see.
I am extremely impressed by Immortals. I completely agree with you. Seems like so much improvement. Oh, here we go! Asuna with a breach splash! The setup is insane! And he wants more. He's got the showstopper in hand, and he's looking for his next victim. Unfortunately for him, it's only 2. But 2 that they can take to the bank here. 5 versus 3 to start things off. They can now play it pretty passive. Don't have to really do too much else at this point. It's up to Immortals to find a way out of this tricky situation.
Yeah, this is the first time that 100 Thieves has had this C control. We've never seen Immortals on the back foot on their default.
True. Round 10, of course. So that's quite impressive for Immortals to have a run like that.
Tons of info there from Hiko, spotting one of the remaining 3. And meanwhile, Steel has all of the info at A. So that allows 100 Thieves to, stack 4 people towards the left side of the map. And that's the making side.
Great jump peek. The Rolling Thunder just to seal the deal. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to hide. And
oh no, man.
It's like, oh, yeah, that's a slaughter right there from 100 Thieves. Nice finish on the round. And the Rolling Thunder, maybe not necessary. You could always argue, but at this level, you want to secure the rounds. You give the respect to your opponents. And I just love the potential for these breach flash plays. Look at that. It's so beautiful.
The trust to let Nitro kill the second one. He just popped his ult immediately after that first kill.
Man, they got just incinerated there. Okay, so 100 Thieves, they're finding their feet back into this one, Sean. 4 to 6 now. Full rifle buy, though, for both teams.
Dude, both teams on a full buy here. I think what we have to look out for is ShotUp's ult combined with Nature's ult. I mean, that creates a scenario that's really difficult for the defenders.
There is control play.
Garage.
It's close. Almost doing some damage there off the boombot. You can see also at the same time Gangster's looking after the A lobby position, really making sure that 100 Thieves do not push that. Oh, that is not good. Asuna, I mean, you're playing with fire in those positions. It's very difficult. You don't want to give it up, so sometimes it be like that for Asuna, and Steel has a lot of info here, A lobby.
He does. The alarm bot is holding the A push, so he won't be able to get past that. The alarm bot was actually recalled. I take that back. He could flank. Shot up on the lurk. Oh, dear.
That's a big Rolling Thunder. Even 1 bullet to go, and he's going to nail shot up in the face. Feels bad, man, for all the breach mains out there. And Ethan gets to hold on to garage control. That's an insanely huge
You should
pickup.
run.
Yes.
And then the offer that as well. And oh my god, the aftershock from Nitro to deny the spike one, or rather at least kill the planter. Spike does go down. And 100 Thieves back in this right now.
That was so sick, Dan. That was so sick. The fact that Ethan living in garage with the paranoia, and then 100 Thieves clearly has something planned, and I've thought about this before. When Sova's ult, what's the best thing that could happen? They get hit by like a near sight or get blind. They have no idea what's going on, and they're just getting Sova ulted. And that's what happened. Ethan threw a paranoia through the wall simultaneously. You know, Hiko's ulting, Steel's on the flank. There's just so much chaos. And you just, even with a Killjoy ult down, you cannot defend that. Very well done by 100 Thieves.
And it's taking these
Right
really
there.
excellent plays to bring themselves back against just the beauty of what it has been a great attacking side so far for Immortals too. So just like the first map, we're really getting a game right now, and Ethan looking to potentially push this dark cover once more, and he's going to get a lot of info. This is very good to do every so often. There's the 1v1, and JC Stanley's going to stand to benefit. And that puts a sense of urgency on the defenders here. 100 Thieves down to 4.
But something to keep in mind is that Omen fight at C long in the pro meta, you'll very frequently see Omens holding the C push. And that's why 100 Thieves didn't even react. They didn't even do anything about that. So JC Sonny's like, yeah, I gotta actually push the initiative here, clear the C site. That's why he blind ult C site and forces the rotate into C. This is brilliant.
Oh, what a catch, though. Steel pops the cage as well, and they're going to have to deal with Steel. They have to do something to kill Steel. They have to trade him. If he gets back onto position, he's going to be able to stop this round entirely. Steel making plays for days, but eventually he will go down, and Immortals will find themselves on the site with the entries they were looking for. But Asuna, he may look to get an opportunity to go in here with the Satchels possibly, or just straight up with the Vandal. Now she's down to Hiko, 1 versus 2, and that's not a winnable situation. Immortals pick up the round, and that the bait, I have to say, the bait with JC Stanley's TP onto C was just actually so insane.
Yeah.
How much problems that caused.
Yeah, you could see when he got the frag on Ethan, 100 Thieves didn't even respect that frag at all. It was like nothing happened. You know, like, no, we don't need to watch C. That's not even a sight. But when JC Sani ults and the person A is like, well, he's not A, and the person B is like, he's not B, you're like, oh no, he ulted into the empty site. So they all just rotate. But that's the wrong play. Oh man, that was such a cool round to watch.
Yeah, it really is. It's so funny as well that one bullet from Ethan too. Just that always gets me when players breach ulted. But enough about that. We're getting once again more of this A lobby play. But of course we're in the second half now, and it's 100 Thieves on the attack, so we may see a very different look to the defaults. And they're actually taking the spike towards C.
I don't think Immortals is biting on this, Dan.
It looks
now
like
they are. Now they are.
Yeah.
Wow, look at the rotate coming in now. Oh my goodness. Well, that's a plant. That's a 5v5 retake.
Spike going down.
Spike planted.
Man, and Steel is going to be on the most incredible lurk right now through A.
Oof, nice first pick there from Ethan on the defense. And with Asuna able to hold things down for now, and lots of danger lurking around the corner. Nice shot from Nitro. Now that's getting very difficult for Immortals. They are just getting picked apart here, losing their battles. Just comes down to the headshots sometimes in these pistols, and Nature, he's been pretty immaculate. But you can see that once again, 100 Thieves have the ability to play the clock here, and this shouldn't be a winnable situation for Nature. 100 Thieves play it correctly by the book, and they will pick up the pistol round.
Amazing play. 100 Thieves using the fact that they know Immortals are quick rotators. I was so impressed. Immortals didn't bite. But when Steel made it all the way to hell, you have to respect it at that point. You have to respect there's someone literally in the A site. We cannot just ignore A anymore. We have to rotate. So he gets all the way there, but the layers to have Nitro lurking through Garage while Steel's lurking, long control, so many things went well right there for 100 Thieves.
Well, fast eco round now for Immortals, looking to push mid. It's a very classic maneuver. It might actually be working out. The breach flashes are so valuable in plays like this, and this is getting a little bit crazy. Steel goes down, and now Nitro's getting caught. He's very, very low, 28 points of health, and they are not stopping. They want to finish them all off. No. Oh dear, that's good. That would have been a really great prank shot. Unfortunately for Asnus, not going to connect as he wanted, and they're still fighting over this one doorway. Just this one doorway. It's so much action here. It's unreal. No one's wanting to give this up. I mean, 100 Thieves could just run to the side if they wanted, but they're looking to fight this.
I swear, if I was a good enough liar, I could lie and tell the new viewers that that door leads to something very important. And they would probably believe it right now. But I promise you, it actually doesn't.
Gangsta looking to get some love with the Ares, but 7-7 is the score as 100 Thieves deal with a ridiculous attack down middle. And we're all tied up. I feel like you wouldn't want it any other way.
This is exactly how we wanted it. We wanted it this way. Oh my goodness. This game is going to go down to the wire. This is so exciting.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic display so far. I just love that Immortals are able to show us a lot of different looks. I didn't expect that to such an extent.
So Immortals actually not playing Garage this round. They don't expect a Garage hit. And if I had to guess based on how 100 Thieves plays rounds, they're setting up C early to hit A late. They do these kind of things. They get full map control and then they go back to the opposite site. So they let the people push up close A, and now they're going to clear out close A. And if Chemicals gets caught, they might just snowball the A site.
It's a nice bait sub. They may expect Chemicals to be more of like a garage player or something like that. They may just see the Sovas in that position. Okay, and it looks like they are just leaving Chemicals alone at this point. Base setup's not going to come through. Turns away from the flash. Oh, dear.
Now Ethan's activated, Dan. He's at C long. He knows a turret's there. But at any moment, he could lurk up into the C site. Oh, man. 100 Thieves just nailing the default to a T this round. Getting full map control. Seesawing Immortals around. Immortals has no idea where to stack.
This is very difficult. At least
30
Nature can
seconds
try to delay with his utility here towards the C site, but he's falling out of the site, doesn't want to get split on, which is why he's falling back towards spawn. He's not the first player. That's a great pick from Nature. I really feel like you couldn't expect anything more from him there. Now he's going to be trying to set up with his teammates, popping some of those swarm grenades, planted in the nick of time. Now there's no ults available for either side at the moment. It's just going to be a pure retake without the assistance of those, and Nature, another kill for him. He's doing such a good job so far. Hiko holding on to garage control will cause issue here for Immortals, however, as he could come from garage or he could lurk around spawn. There's that spike defuse pressure. Can Hiko find his way around quickly enough? Hiko, he did actually pick up the Hunter's Fury. Can they take him down in time? They can.
Oof. I think we all felt that possibility. When Hiko had the ult and he nested in that garage corner, I think if his teammate gets one frag, that round goes in 100 Thieves' favor. With 3 people, too much to ask out of Hiko. They immediately push on him when they hear the Hunter's Fury popped. Heads up play from Immortals, and they stabilize.
And you know, I think it's safe to say everybody's rooting for a third map here, so that would require Immortals to win Haven. If you are just joining us, we had an incredible match on the first map of this series on Ascent. It was, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. You should go back and watch it. It was truly an incredible game, and unfortunately for Immortals, though, they came off the worst there.
Placing swarm grenade.
So they do need to win this one to force it to a third.
Again, with the early C-long control coming out of 100 Thieves. If this round plays out anything like the last, they'll probably go back to A and get A lobby control. You can see they have very specific goals every round. The first, stop the C push. Okay, we force someone to play in the C site now. Now let's go A. Let's make sure someone has to hold both short and long, not just one choke point. So they're going to push back A lobby here. And after that, your guess good as mine.
Well, given that Immortals have access to a lockdown, they are pretty content to play retake, it would appear, on the A side as well, leaving it to the Killjoy utility. And I'm liking the cam in mid as well for that mid-round mid-info. See if that comes into play at all, but for now it's just as you said, Sean. They'll see the Killjoy utility. They know it's going to be a lockdown play from Immortals.
Yeah. And the real question here is, will they be aware of that molly that's just chilling at long right now? Because it is just hanging out there where the lockdown's going to have a gap.
Don't think Hiko has enough to take down that lockdown. Oh, going to try with the paint shells there. And that's gonna do the job. Well done there by Asuna. That's a huge win for 100 Thieves. They might be able to take this one now as they look to hold on against the retake. A lurk is in play. It's 2 players on the lurk actually for 100 Thieves. A lot of pressure on their players who are actually defending the site to hold on to these positions for long enough. And here it comes, activating that lurk. Will they expect that there's one more player? It's going to be Steel coming through on the back. It's just Gangster left. And Steel's going to take him down. What a well-played round from 100 Thieves.
Yeah, the lurks coming in from 100 Thieves, but I mean, Asuna, time and time again, when I see him on this raise, he's taking out the lockdowns from the Killjoy with his utility. So that saves Hiko his ult. I mean, typically when you watch these other pro games, the Hunter's Fury is saved to take out the lockdown and they kind of negate each other. But when you have a raise like Asuna that knows all these satchel lineups and paint shell lineups, I mean, that adds so much value to your team.
Yeah, it really does. There's so much to talk about in terms of utility, but never mind. We've got the fast push once again. 100 Thieves annihilating the aggression. And, well, with that said, there's not too much left here for 100 Thieves. Now, they obviously are on the eco, so no firepower available, really. And with that said, there might be something available. They can play for the gun, and you can see 100 Thieves realize that's the play. They're going to deny that play. There we go. Open and close case. Done and dusted. 9-8. Now the lead for Immortal Thieves. 100 Thieves. And it's going to be back into the buy rounds.
Holy Dan. They have plenty of ults here. Both Rolling Thunders in play for this round, and this is definitely looking to be an A hit. This is very different from what we saw at Immortals first half. There's the cage that's going to go in the middle of long A to deny info from both the Sova and the Raze.
Nice find. Asuna opens it up. There is the TP. Heaven, that's a lot of pressure, especially if you force players to play inside. You can sometimes get that TP off, but is at least just going to get the info, clear the space. Asuna doing just that as well with the showstopper. Sending that flying. And that's the A side under control. So you're going to have to hold on to this one against the ults. But Nitro obviously has that Rolling Thunder available. That's fine by Gangster. It's going to lighten the load ever so slightly.
I think they're going to trade Rolling Thunders right now. This is going to be epic, Dan.
Here we go. There's number one. Trying desperately to get rid of the recon there. Eco able to take down Gangster and JC standing. Not too much left here now for Immortals as they try to fight for side control. And, well, looks like 100 Thieves are starting to take some edges here.
You know, I was really hoping we would see a world where it was like a 3-on-3 and everyone's breach ulted and moving really slow and shooting slow. That would have been awesome. But here we go, 100 Thieves cleaning up the round, taking a 10-8 lead. They're kind of running away with things right now. I mean, Shot Off only has a Bucky. They're almost conceding an 11.
Yeah, and they've been somewhat predictable too in these eco rounds. I mean, it's hard not to be on Haven if you want to take the initiative. And that's what they're doing. They're playing the game, and Shot Off finds one with the Bucky. Oh no, the Boombot comes back for the vengeance. And 100 Thieves begin to clear things up. There is still 2 players left, and Gangster's found himself a Spectre, so the possibility for more damage.
Trapped in.
Oof.
Oh, they know he's stuck.
Last player standing.
Oh, Nature with the swing.
Oh no.
Oh, no. Oh dear. You hate to see it. Nowhere to go. And just like that, 100 Thieves on 11. The end of the series could be near unless Immortals find themselves some more life. What do they need to do here, Sean?
Oh, it's so interesting because 100 Thieves, they're just getting control of whatever they want this half. If they want C-Long control, they get it. If they want A lobby control, they get it. So I don't know what the answer is for Immortals other than just not allowing initial picks to happen. I mean, it's okay to give up these areas. Oh, but it's not okay the way they keep falling.
Oh, Paranoia Burn, they are sending it. And as they get control of the side here, the double nano one will slow things down just for a moment. But still, with this lurk is always dangerous. And it's a safe rotation all the way through spawn. But of course, you do give up a lot of control by doing that. They've got to know that Steel's lurking around somewhere. And they're playing offsite. Eco has Hunter's Fury, so that's one of the reasons why they can do that. Also a nice open plant.
Oh. Ethan caught JC Stunny from the cubby of Long. That's a massive find. They take out the smokes on the team on a C plant.
Aftershock doing his damage though. Chemicals trying to clear out the cubby as well. There's the Hunter's Fury now starting to deny the defuse attempt. 100 Thieves getting the frags to follow it up. Leaves it to shut up in nature here. Oh, it's going to be very hard. Steal there. That late lurk. The timing is impeccable. And there's nothing that nature can do. 12 rounds now for 100 Thieves as they look to find themselves on match point.
Match point.
Oh, so many layers to how 100 Thieves plays. You can tell specific players take specific fights at specific times. That's one difference when I watch these two teams right now. I can tell when Hiko's going to get activated. I can tell when Nitro's going to get activated. Ethan's activated on the lurks when there's presence on the opposite side of the map. And Asuna, well, he's just a maniac and he's just entering everywhere. But this is just such a well-polished team that Steel has created.
Yeah, I completely agree. And this is such a classic way to punish the C-Long push. Omen TP's up on top of the boxes. It's such a strong angle. Oh my god. JC Stanny, it may look like a crazy peek, but JC Stanny spaced it with a delay, and you wouldn't necessarily expect two players to try to move through the C-Long position. So he's trying to capitalize there, and it just didn't work out. And with that said, Sean, it's starting to feel like we're about to hear the death knell here for Immortals. Oh, the bait.
It's a bit important, but Steel is taking the A site while all this is happening. His lurk, again, is fruitful for the team. And he's going to keep going with it. I think he might go through this.
Ooh, the lockdown. Oh, the takedown Steel. He wanted to make the play against the lockdown, which wasn't necessarily...
The paint shells again!
Yeah, he just knows the
Asuna
lineups.
just keeps doing this.
Will they be able to capitalize though? There's the trade from Nature. They're trying to force their way in the side 2 versus 2 here to keep the chances alive for Immortals. As Nitro plays around the back boxes. Everybody's weak at this point. The swing from Nitro. I don't think he even stopped there as he starts spraying him down. And it's a 2-0 in favor of 100 Thieves in what was an insane matchup between these. I did not expect the Immortals to play so well, but just seeing the innovations from 100 Thieves as well to combat it was just we just saw some beautiful Valorant. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I love what we saw today because we really saw the peak of both of these styles, right? The aim-heavy style versus the super tactical, layered, synergizing abilities. Certain people peak at certain times, and today 100 Thieves won, but I can easily see a world where Immortals steals this best of 3. These teams are so close despite playing so differently, and that's what makes the scene so incredibly exciting to me right now. Is just the difference of styles I see.
Oh, definitely. It's so cool that from map to map, especially as teams get better at working different compositions, just how different the game can look. And I mean, this is so early in the days of Valorant that I can't imagine once some of these players and teams, if they stick together for a long time, the kinds of things, the looks that they may be capable of is really going to be so exciting and surprising in the future. But like, what do you feel like this means for Immortals going forward in the tournament, Sean? Like, now that you've seen their form here today, do you think that they can make a run?
I think so. I think this is the toughest opponent in the entire tournament for a team like Immortals, right? Who plays this looser style. But when you go against a team like this, where Steel is in-game leading, he's going to put in a massive amount of work. There's going to be anti-shrouding. There's going to be awareness from all 5 players on the enemy team as to how you like to open up rounds. And that makes things very difficult for a team like Immortals. So I don't think another team is capable of having the coordination to shut down the star aimers of Immortals. And I think moving forward in the lower bracket, they'll have an easier time. It's just kind of an unlucky matchup for them.
Yeah, it is definitely that. I think a lot of teams going up against 100 Thieves, it's just a lot about them that's, I think, quite difficult to deal with. They've just got so many tools to work with. But with that said, it's time to go to the analysts. We will see you guys on the next one. And it's down to the analysts to break it down.
What can you really break down about that? I mean, it was just a brawl. Looking at the first few rounds, my notes said DM on first few rounds. It was literally deathmatch. It started with the pistol round and it just picked up from there. It was absolute chaos. But you know, Sean made a good point there towards the end. He said, "Today, 100 Thieves win, but like, there's a possible reality where Immortals is able to win that series. It comes down to these incredible clutch plays." And looking specifically, Christine, at a player like Steel, his lurks were so successful for the team, constantly putting him in a good position, and also his flank plays.
His flank plays were a beautiful sight to see, and you know he's got those timings in his brains, and more than that, he's got the trust in his teammates, right? And all of his teammates trust him as well. Collectively speaking, this 100 Thieves team, they looked so polished, right? But we gotta say, everyone keeps mentioning it. I mean, even Ascent, it came down to so many 2v2s. So no matter how polished we keep talking about 100 Thieves being, Immortals had an answer almost through and through every single step of the way. So impressive stuff coming up from both teams. And another shout out, I have to highlight Asuna, man. The value he brought, Sean mentioned it in the match. He got that lockdown from Killjoy every single time. Anytime they hit up that A site on this Haven, it just made it null and void. And to have that in your game plan, the forethought in that, and Asuna always being in the right place at the right time, it's a beautiful thing to see coming out from 100 Thieves.
I felt that there was mind games going on in Haven as well, because Sean was mentioning it. They're leaving, Immortals is leaving the A choke point open every single time so they could focus on C. What did we see instead? We saw Asuna moving down with help from Nitro to fight back down towards long C. And then Immortals were like, okay, well, maybe this could work out. We could actually fight it out. Usually with all these trades, we could bang it out. But what does that leave? The gap for the lurk for Steel. Because he's at the A side, he can push all the way up towards the choke point. He gets so much information for 100 Thieves that they're able to stack the right amount of players towards the C side, which means if Asuna dies first and they still try to make it in, they still have to fight 2 or 3 more players. In the end, though, again, it all comes down to clutches from a lot of these players. And in this series, you play 10 times, it could still be very even between Immortals and 100 Thieves.
You know, Bach, and when Vansili talks about clutches, we're not talking about the fancy stuff that you used to see him from Hiko, you know, the 1v2s and whatnot from First Strike. It was just the big plays. We saw the replays, Ethan and Steel getting the flanks around C-Long, but you know what? That was their game plan. They were so aggressive when it came to the lurks, like from everywhere. I remember there was one round where I saw Steel right outside of A lobby, and you saw someone else right outside of B main, and they're ready to make that push and gather that information. Now, whether they get it or not, still, they're moving around the map, getting constant map control. Immortals, they have to choose if they want to push a site or not, and if they didn't, they were going to have a really good veteran behind them on Cypher to knock them down, and it happened over and over again. But either way, it was details that stopped Immortals. If Immortals was on point with that, if they were more cognizant of that, I really think that this game could have gone either way. It was the best game we've had so far.
The first few rounds felt like a heavyweight boxing match, and both fighters came into the ring and they were like, I'm just going to swing as hard as I can for as long as I can. And like they were just going pound for pound, punch for punch. And eventually it did kind of calm down, and you could see how the stats stack up here as well. Frag wins 9 for 100 Thieves, 7 for Immortals in the loss. Objective wins, obviously tipping the scales a little bit more towards 100 Thieves' favor. And part of that, again, was what Christine was talking about. Asuna's nade play, neutralizing Nature's ult as Killjoy. Lockdown was never really able to be utilized because they constantly prevented it from being a threat. And it's important to note, too, that Nature was moving it. He was trying to find safe spots, and he couldn't. All he would do is huck a paint shell in the right angle, and boom. It's taken out of the equation completely. Taking a look as well at the stats side by side. Shot Up, we talked about him and his play as the breach. it's so fun to watch, but it's just not enough for Immortals to get over that finish line.
And you saw the objective wins on that previous scoreboard. There were all diffuses as well for 100 Thieves, which means that Immortals were able to get into the site, but they just couldn't hold it. They couldn't find the right positioning just because of those quick flanks. Every time, like, there was that one round where we mentioned, or we saw the Hunter's Fury that came out at the same time as the Paranoia on the C side, and immediately threw an attacker's Killjoy on a pulse plant. Steel was already behind at long C for getting those kills. They weren't ready. They weren't ready, as you know, a comedian would say too.
No.
But in the end, it's just 100 Thieves were really fast. They were quick on their feet when it didn't come down to those brawls.
It's kind of crazy just watching the way that series played out, because I wanted that game to go into overtime too. I wanted more. I really wanted a third map, because after that first map, I'm like, man, I hope this second map is going to be just as good, and I hope it's not disappointing. Belly, do we feel like maybe that second map was a little lackluster in comparison? Because I feel like it started off like a heater.
Lackluster in comparison?
But hold on. Let's be fair. The last game went to overtime, and it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It felt like 100 Thieves had more control here, and like the climax was starting to dissipate towards the end. Like it was starting to realize, okay, this is 100 Thieves map. They're going to take this series 2-0.
I feel like at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, right? Because this is going to be a double elimination bracket, and teams like Immortals, the way they've been playing, who do they play in a loser bracket actually? Like, they can come back even stronger and better. And what type of storyline would you even win in Masters from just a pissed off Immortals team and Chemical popping people with the op? That's something I really want to see.
I think, Bach, to your point a little bit more, I think this match, this Haven, it would have gone into an OT. It was neck and neck, round for round, up until, I believe, the last 3 rounds or so in that second half. And that's when Steel realized that long A control, as long as they came back and revisited it, because he was placing that deeper cage outside of that long A, and because he had Nitro with those breach flashes, they were okay with giving up that entire A main early on, because they knew that they could brute force their way back into it with just 2 pieces of utility. So as soon as they started realizing that, I think Immortals, they didn't have an answer, and then they just took it away from them. But up until that point, it was neck and neck.
That's wild.
Well, we profiled a player coming into this series, and it was the Boomer God himself, the king of the clutch. His name is Hiko, and all our Hiko homies will be proud to know that we've got Sue standing by for the post-game interview presented by Verizon. It's all yours, Sue.
Thank you very much, Spencer. Always a huge pleasure to chat with you. Congratulations on that victory over Immortals. And I'm curious, Spencer, this is the first time you're playing this iteration of this Immortals roster since the addition of Nature and Chemicals, and Nature taking the IGL spot over JC Stani. So what was the game plan like going up against him? Was there any specific anti-stratting involved, or was it more about focusing on your game and your game plan on maps?
A little bit of both. I think they threw a curveball into the veto that we expected to play them on. You know, their stats show they don't really play Haven, so it was kind of surprising that they vetoed Icebox and picked Haven against us. Especially, I think some teams thought we had a pretty good Haven with Nitro on Breach now instead of Omen or Sage or whatever he plays on the other maps. So, you know, I think that caught us off guard, but yeah, maybe they thought they had a read on us that didn't go their way. But yeah, I mean, we're still a relatively new roster, and we're still, you know, trying to just get as much experience and chemistry as we can in the short amount of time that we've had with Ethan, you know, being able to scrim with Ethan. So it was a little bit of both. I think it was more or less just we needed to play our game, make sure we, you know, do what we know works, and we thought that what we did would work against them. So.
Well, you just brought up Haven, so let's start there to begin with. On that first half, Immortals was looking good, and I know you mentioned how perhaps they felt they had a good read on us, and you mentioning that makes me think, by second half you guys felt really comfortable as you were able to pull away and take the lead and the win. But walk us through what was happening on that first half, because things did get chaotic and Immortals were looking damn good.
Yeah, things got a little bit dicey. All puns intended. Yeah, a little dicey the first half. I think that we were just trying to get accustomed to playing Haven, since we weren't really like I said, we weren't really preparing to actually play Haven. So I think it took us just a little bit of time to kind of get our footings and kind of realize how they're playing and how we can adapt to it. But yeah, the start of the first half definitely was a little bit shaky, but you know, we are doing our best with the time we had to just make sure that, you know, we stay composed, we stay focused. I mean, I think we have a lot of Counter-Strike experience on this team, probably more so than maybe any other team. So, you know, we've been in these high pressure scenarios, we've made these comebacks, whether it's if not in VALORANT, in Counter-Strike. So, you know, I think that we're just trying to keep a cool, calm, collected head and stay in the game and not really tilt at all. And just, we know that even if we're down 2-10, like we were against Genji, who knows? Maybe we can even come back. So that's just kind of the mentality with the team in its current state.
We certainly saw that pressure build in that first map, on a sense, taking it all the way to overtime. It was your map pick. Talk about the importance of, for example, Nitro learning Sage and the role that he played on that agent throughout that map, and just overall how it did turn into a pretty dicey again map, but again, taking that win.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of counted Nitro out of playing Sage after our first, you know, literally our first match with very little time of practice with Ethan. People are like, oh, Nitro on Sage, why would they do this? He's such a good Omen. But I think that's kind of one of the strengths of Nitro as a player, and a lot of the players on this team. There's so much experience in competitive FPS games that I think that nobody really is a one trick, so to say, right? I think there's a lot of versatility, and there's a lot of just people are able to think and able to put themselves on different agents and still play to a relatively high level. So, you know, Nitro's had a little bit of time now on Sage. I think this performance on Ascent definitely showed that. You know, I think we're doing things on agents that maybe teams either aren't used to or have never seen before. So I think that that's also kind of a big factor that we have is, you know, we're doing these unconventional comps to the meta that's been for the last, you know, 6 months, where it's just duelist. We're doing a slower, more supportive style of play, and I think it's hopefully our result against FaZe, excluding this, I think the way that we're playing, I think hopefully should counter a lot of the teams that play in your face and really aggressively with the multiple duelists.
I know we just spent a little bit of time talking about Nitro, but of course need to touch on Ethan as well and his addition to the team. Back when we saw you play in First Strike, Dicey and Asuna at the time were still relatively musicians, and despite that, we saw 100 Thieves pull it together and eventually clinch the victory and taking the whole tournament. So I'm curious, how has this adjustment period with Ethan, despite it only having been a couple of weeks, how has that been in contrast?
Yeah, I mean, people forget too, we didn't have that much time of preparation going to First Strike either. It feels like we've always been kind of playing catch up, and we've always been trying to develop these either newer players or just newer players to the game itself. So we're definitely playing catch up. I think that, you know, having Ethan now, we have a little bit more depth to our agent selection. We have, you know, I need to go out. I want to get in front of everybody and say, you know, Dicey was a great guy, a great teammate, but when somebody like Ethan comes around, you can't really turn down somebody of that caliber. And I think that what having Ethan enabled us to do with our different comp is going to show what, maybe if not this event, I think it will show long term. I think we're going to be able to play a different style that hopefully these teams that are hyper aggressive won't be able to take down. So I personally really like Ethan as a teammate. I think he's an amazing player, really good attitude, and you know, he has all of my praises for Ethan.
Yeah, it's just Ethan's such a funny guy because on the one hand, you could say he's almost a boomer because of how many years he's been playing FPS games and Counter-Strike, but he's only 21 years old, so kind of not. But last question for you, Spencer, before I finally let you go. Up next, you have the Sentinels, which the last time you played them, it was a 2-0 loss, but of course back then, neither of y'all had Tens or Ethan. So with both of you guys having new additions to the roster, now how do you feel you stack against them?
I think that game is going to just be a slugfest. I think they're going to be running at us. They're going to be trying to kill us. there's, if you looked at how they played today, it was very in your face, very like, all right, guys, 3, 2, 1, let's push a smoke, let's all fight mid, on Ascent. They're just fighting through smokes. It was crazy. So, unfortunately, we can't really put much time into preparation. We can't really try to think about what strats they're going to run, because really they're not really going to run strats. It's going to be a battle of the hyper aggression. Even the last time we played them, they were just in our face, and I feel like we weren't prepared for it. I'm definitely can say we're going to be much more prepared than we were last time, and I think that everybody knows kind of what to expect playing against them now.
I think a lot of fans will definitely be looking forward to that match. But for now, Spencer, thanks as always for this chat. Bach, back to the desk.
Our man Hiko, as he was talking about Nitro and the versatility that Nitro actually has, because one of the things we talked about coming into this series was, is it maybe potentially a little bit disappointing to see Nitro have to surrender the Omen role? But he's saying, no, I think you guys have it all backwards. What we gain with Nitro being able to play other roles is far greater than what we lose with Nitro not being able to play Omen. And obviously, he sung high praises as well for Ethan Vansley, talking about the flexibility they're going to have as a roster, as a strength in general. And he nailed it on the head. We've been talking about it all day long. And since Ethan joined the team, when a player like Ethan becomes available, you pounce on the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. It could have that window of time where eventually someone like Nitro could also practice to play a Jet if they ever need a Jet, right? That's how they lost Dice in the first place. They needed something a little bit more than the Jet, but could always result to that if they needed an operator and somebody that's quick as Jet, as an agent. Overall, I think they look very good in this one here, and I think someone like Nitro could turn into Sick, for example, for Sentinels. A player that's going to flex a lot of agents on different maps, and they also have a chance to play 2 duelists, 1 duelist, 0 duelists, as Christine was saying. There's so many options right now for this team.
So many options for sure, and I think it's just a testament, right? Especially when we think back of previous esports teams. A lot of the times we've seen these experiments before where you put together a lot of big brains, a lot of previous in-game leaders. We got Nitro, who is an in-game leader. We got Steel, who is the in-game leader. Hiko, even in-game led, right? That generally means there's too many cooks in the kitchen a lot of the times, but for these 100 Thieves guys, you could see that Nitro's absolutely able to visualize exactly what he needs to bring to the table each and every round, and he just tees it up, man. Tees up his teammates, and it looks great.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. This doesn't make any sense at all, but I feel like with 100 Thieves getting away from a lot, it gives them a lot. And I'm talking about having a main offer, having a lot of duelists. There was a specific moment on Ascent that really changed the way I look at this team and the way they're disciplined. It was when Nitro won, it was a clutch, and he saw an op on the ground. He ignored it. The very next round, they picked up an op. He looked housing, got 2 kills immediately. That was something Immortals didn't even have planned in their playbooks. That was going to come from 100 Thieves. So it just shows that even though they're stepping away from that aggressive play style, there's still variance that they can have if they want to change it up. So I really love that mindset coming in from them.
I mean, we talk about the op, and we've seen how the op has changed over time, and how this year in particular, we've seen a lot of teams who are 5 rifle heavy that actually have been performing really well. And I could see 100 Thieves having that flex player like we saw at points on Ascent with Steel picking up the op there towards the end. But ultimately, they don't even need to rely on that. They can rely on the rifle work if they need to, and they can rely on their teamwork and their individual play styles as well. You heard Hiko even say it, cool heads will prevail effectively. Like, we're coming in from CS, we've got a ton of experience. We're used to being in high-pressure situations and fighting for big victories. This team, again, I said it earlier today, they're only going to get better. And I think that they have potential to be the best team in North America, potentially in the world, given enough time. But they're going to be playing further in this tournament in the upper bracket, and we'll take a look at the bracket so we can see who they're going to be facing off against. They're going to get tomorrow off as we move down into the lower bracket, and unfortunately we may have to say goodbye to some of these teams as those eliminations will be played out. Envy, again yesterday, picked up the big dub over Gen G. FaZe also crushing Xset in their early match. That's going to be a great game when we finally get to it. And then Sentinels starting off with a 2-1 victory here. Hyper-aggressive play style that worked out quite well for them. Felt a little almost puggy at times, but it wasn't necessarily. It was just very aim-heavy. A lot of duels taking place. And then 100 Thieves, Even though the series was close, they still win 2-0 over Immortals. That sends Xset and Gen G into a match in that lower bracket, and then Immortals and Luminosity. That's a match we've seen before, Manson.
I just love the fact that now in Masters 1, we already have some matches that have gone to 3 maps. I think First Strike, there were so many 2-0s until we finally got into, like, what, the grand finals?
Yes.
Until we actually saw some, like, more maps being played. So props to these teams, these 8 teams so far that have given us some great Valorant matches. Just very unfortunate that already tomorrow, some of them have to go home.
Wait, real quick. Sean actually just posted a meme on Twitter of the Dragon Balls, and he's like, please let me cast the best of, like, 3-4 maps, please. We're going to get it tomorrow, man.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling that these games are going to be quite close, but that does wrap things up for us today. Take a look at the matches we're going to have tomorrow. We've got Xset versus Gen G, and then we've got Immortals versus LG, and in my opinion, that match should be an absolute banger because we have seen these teams stack up against each other in the past, but that is it. We are done for today. If you guys want to catch the action, you can see it at the same place, same time tomorrow, 12 Pacific or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Day 3 of Masters will be coming to you then, and we hope to see you there.